Hey all, welcome to our Wednesday Word of Encouragement. We've been talking in these Wednesday Word of Encouragements about the Holy Spirit, the role of the Holy Spirit in our lives. And it has taken me back to a news story a number of years ago. You might remember, it's a guy by the name of Davion Henry. Davion was 15 years old, and one Sunday morning he walked into St. Mark's Missionary Baptist Church, and he introduced himself to the congregation. He said, "Hi, my name is Davion," and he says, "I've been in foster care all of my life." And then he said this, "But I know God hasn't given up on me, so I'm not going to give up on me either." So I'm saying to you today, I don't care who you are, whether you're old or young, whether you're a mom or you're a dad, whether you're black, white, purple, whatever, I want someone to take care of me. And he said, "I promise that I will be the best that I can be." Now, there's a lot about that story about Davion that grabs our hearts, right? A lot about the reality of kids in foster care that grab our hearts in the midst of the days in which we live. But the thing that I want us to latch on to take hope from, to take encouragement from today is what Davion said. At 15 years old, right, this great wisdom, he said, "I know that God hasn't given up on me, so I'm not going to give up on me either." That phrase takes me back into the Gospels to something that Jesus has said and something that he has said about the Holy Spirit. In John chapter 14, Jesus says this: "If you love me, you will keep my commandments, and I will ask the Father, and he will give you another helper to be with you forever, even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. But you know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you." And he says this in verse 18, "I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you." I hear that today. Hear the context that it's in. So imagine being a disciple. We do this a lot as we think about the Gospels. Imagine walking with Jesus, seeing him heal people, seeing him cast out demons from people, seeing him raise people from the dead, hearing his teaching, and that it's with authority and it's wise and it's changing lives. It's even changed your life by virtue of hearing him speak, watching him work, and you are a follower of his. You've given up everything in order to follow him. And then you come to John chapter 13 and you're having the Last Supper with him, and he's washing your feet and he's saying to you, "Listen, I'm going to leave you." How much of a despairing moment is that, right? Your hero, the one whom you're following, says, "I'm going to leave you." And he says, "Listen, where I'm going, you can't come." He tells Peter that specifically, but to all of the disciples. And yet, when you flip into John 14, he says, "Do not let your hearts be heavy." Right? And so how do we do that? How do, as a disciple, deal with the fact that Jesus is leaving, and yet he's telling us that our hearts shouldn't be heavy, that we shouldn't be troubled, that we shouldn't feel as if we're being, left alone? Well, I'll tell you, and I think you know the answer. He says, because we've talked about this for weeks past, he tells us that he's sending someone else. In fact, in this very text in John 14, he says he's sending a helper. The Greek word there is a paraclete. It's actually someone who comes alongside you, someone who journeys with you, that comes as a comforter, comes as a provider, comes as one who is going to be with you always. Listen, that's why he can say in verse 18, listen, "I will never leave you as an orphan." Why? Because even as Jesus is leaving, he says, "Man, don't let your hearts be troubled, because I am sending this comforter. I'm sending this paraclete, this one to journey with you. And so you can know this, that you will never be left as orphans." Let's think together for just a second. Is there times in your life you feel like God has forgotten you? Times in your life where you feel like God has maybe left you and left you alone? If that hasn't happened, it probably will. There's just troubled times in our life where we think and feel as if we are alone. I guess this word today is for you in that moment. A word for the disciples in that moment. A word for you in that moment, that God never gives up on us. He never leaves us as orphans. Can we learn from Davion today to know that God hasn't given up on us, so we shouldn't give up either? I hope that's an encouragement for where you are today. God indeed has sent his Spirit to be our paraclete, our comforter, our journeyman, the one who will care for us. That is his role. That is his role. That we would know that we will never be left as orphans, that we indeed will always have God in our lives. Have a great day.